My name is Sean Skakandi. Welcome to the Chemistry Breaking Bad.
I'm Amanda Terry. Let's have some fun. Right?
That's it.
So can anybody tell me what that molecule is up there? Stand right here. Anybody? No? Take a guess? That would be the methamphetamine molecule. That's what that looks like in the spirit of Breaking Bad, right?
Okay, so let's start off. Can anyone tell me who this fine young chap right here is?
The real Heisenberg?
That is Werner Heisenberg, or is it right? Werner.
Werner.
In German. He was born in 1901. He died in 1976. He graduated from the University of Munich and got his PhD when he was 26 years old. He was an outstanding. He actually won the Nobel Prize in 1932 in physics for the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Now, can anyone tell me what the Heisenberg uncertainty principle is besides Jesse, Helena, and Brett, and Phil, wherever you are?
I don't know what it is.
So what it is, it's a relation that states that the product of uncertainty in position and the uncertainty and momentum of a particle can be no smaller than Planck's constant divided by 4.
What?
Get it? So in English, what it is, it's from quantum mechanics that it's impossible to know simultaneously with precision where both the position and the momentum of a particle, such as an electron and an atom. Okay, so who has seen the show Breaking Bad before? Okay, let's see a couple people that didn't raise their hand. Let's do a quick breakdown of the main characters. I tried to set it up kind of like a DEA. At the very top, we have Walter White. He was our good teacher that transitioned into a life of crime, making crystallized methamphetamine. Next to him, we have his partner, a former student, Jesse Pinkman. As we follow down in our arrows, we have Walt's family. This is his wife, Skylar, and these are Walt's 2 children, Walt Jr. at the top, and we have baby Holly on the bottom. Skylar's sister, Marie, is married to a Hank Schrader, who is a DEA agent. Later on in the episodes, we get to meet this guy, who actually made a sequel to Breaking Bad. That is Saul Goodman, the lawyer, who introduces Walt to Mike Ehrmantraut, who is a private investigator, he says, but he's more of like the tough guy, the muscle. Mike's employer is Gus Fring, who is a drug kingpin with connections to the cartel. I think that about covers it. We do have 2 other characters that I didn't put up there. We have Todd and we have Linnea, but these are our main characters to focus on. Okay, so as the projector is warming up, there was a scene in Breaking Bad where they go on a 4-day cook out in the middle of the desert. And Jesse, his partner, leaves the keys in the ignition and actually kills the battery. So they have a dead battery. Walter White has stage 4 lung cancer. He's very, very sick. And they need to figure out a way how to charge the battery enough to get out of the desert. So they try an apparatus where they can kind of charge it with a generator that they have. Doesn't work. So what they do is they sequence cells. This is actually the battery scene right here. They make a cell where they can get voltage across the electrolyte. This is the electrolyte bridge. In the show, I'm not sure if they used a sponge or what they used, but you could actually twirl up a paper towel, soak it in the electrolyte, which is potassium hydroxide, and then on the cathode side, that's the positive, you want to have the zinc, which they extracted that through nuts and bolts and that kind of stuff. And on the anode side, we used mercury. Mercury is like a solid and a liquid state at the same time. So they took would they use? They used the brake pads. They extracted the carbon from the brake pads to stabilize the mercury. So what they did, essentially, is they got 2 electrons to move across the electrolyte, thus causing voltage to crank their RV. I went over that kind of fast, so if you guys have questions, we can go over it later.
So I'm going to talk to you about ricin. Anybody know what that is?
Poison.
Poison, yeah. It's a protein that is found in the castor oil plant. That's what the protein looks like. Here's the plant. It's actually found within the endosperm or the outside of these seeds. And it's a poison that you can inhale, ingest, or be injected with. And all 3 of these have different symptoms. If you ingest it, your gastrointestinal tract will immediately begin to break down. Within 6 hours, you'll be vomiting up blood. It's really nasty. If it's inhaled, you'll develop allergy-like symptoms, and then flu-like symptoms, and you gradually get sicker and sicker. And the same thing goes with injection. Within 5 to 6 days, you will be dead. There is no antidote available. However, they have one only for mice. There is a vaccination, though. They inject you with a deactivated form of it, and your body produces antibodies so that if you are infected with ricin, your body can fight it off. And that vaccine will work for months. Now, it's used 3 times in Breaking Bad. But throughout history, the United States and England in World War I experimented with this. They wanted to put it on bullets on the outside or in shrapnel inside grenades. They found that this violated a few policies and decided against it. But then in World War II, they experimented again. They wanted to make cluster bombs filled with this. But they found that it would take too much of the substance where they could have other chemicals that were more efficient. Now, the most interesting case in history, the Soviet Union KGB assassinated a Bulgarian exiled person who was a journalist, Georgy Markov. Now, that's not the interesting part. He was injected with a pellet with ricin inside of it. Now, how he was injected was an umbrella that was disguised, well, it was a gun disguised as an umbrella. It had a gun-like mechanism that was used to shoot him in the leg. So he's walking down an alleyway, gets shot in the leg, it feels like a bug bite or something, doesn't think nothing of it, right? Gets home, after a few hours, he starts to feel like he has allergies. He starts to feel sick, like he has the flu. Goes to the hospital. They think he's got the flu. They treat him for flu symptoms. And then within a few days, he's dead. So that's the most interesting case in our history where the Soviet Union used this to assassinate him. Now, more recently, a 19-year-old Georgetown University student, after seeing the show Breaking Bad, decided to synthesize this in his dorm and attempted to use it on his girlfriend. He was arrested with intent, and so all this bad stuff about this, there is a potential for good. Because it inhibits protein synthesis, which stops the growth, it can be used as a cancer treatment. It can be manipulated to target specific cells and kill only those. So there is a benefit. There are more efficient ways. However, this is possible to treat cancer. Another chemical in the show, they stole this off a train, right? 1,000 gallons of methylamine. It's the precursor to methamphetamine. See how the names are kind of similar there? Now, industrially, it's used a lot, actually, which is why they were able to find a train with it on it. It's used agriculturally in insecticides to kill off the bugs. It's used also in the animal feed supply. It's a vitamin B supplement in chicken feed. It's also a catalyst for other chemical reactions. It's not actually used up, it's only used to speed up another reaction for another product. And the last most important use is as a fuel additive. So in your engine, it will improve your engine performance just by having a little bit of this stuff in it. Now, most of you have seen this rock candy. I'm gonna tell you how I made it, right? Okay, so sugar, corn syrup, quite a lot of sugar. It's almost pure sugar in there. You heat this up, mix it in a pan, you heat it up to 150 degrees Celsius. Because if you don't heat it up hot enough, you'll end up with a syrup or a really sticky candy. And in order to get the sugar to harden, you have to heat it to that high temperature. Then you pour it out into a cookie sheet and just break it up. That's as simple as that.
And we added the mint and the food coloring.
Yeah.
It's not normally blue, so.
No, yeah, the food coloring is in lieu of the Breaking Bad, the blue meth. I mean, it ended up green, but close enough, right?
So, to sum up, some of the top states that actually have methamphetamine labs are more of our Midwest states. It is appearing in Florida, but it's not usually as common. Some of the top states are Indiana, Tennessee, Missouri, Ohio, and Illinois. It is a Schedule II narcotic, meaning that this drug has a high level of abuse, of addiction. 11 million people have tried methamphetamine once. 1.4 million use again, or within the past year of their first time using. 500,000 people used again within the past month. Now, you can see what happens to the brain. It's like that old commercial from the 90s. This is your brain on meth, and this is your brain not on meth. So which one looks like the more healthier one? Obviously the one that doesn't look like Swiss cheese. So really, really nasty stuff. It's all chemically synthesized. But you always have to remember that only you can avoid methamphetamine use. So be smart and say no to methamphetamine. Do you guys have any questions for us? Yes.
So, you said it's a Schedule II substance, so doesn't that mean that there are medical uses
Yes,
for meth?
highly addictive, but there are medical uses of it.
Right, do you know what those are?
Well, it's a derivative of morphine.
Oh, okay.
There's some research actually being done on neurological activity on mice. And they're using methamphetamine to inhibit different endorphins within each mouse. So it's more used as lab research use. There is no,
Not in humans.
not in humans.
But there
Okay,
is
no one's
medical
doing meth yet for cancer.
Yes. Schedule 1 are highly addictive, but there are no medical uses. Schedule 2, there are medical uses, but it's still like highly addictive and severe psychological damage and stuff like that. So, anything else?
I know we kind of went over a lot quickly, but we kind of figured that you guys would possibly have some open floor questions. So we wanted to
Leave time for.
leave time for questions.
So how about this meth mouth, like how they say, drinking lots of Mountain Dew can cause like the rapid decay of teeth in people that are in the southern regions of the United States. What is the effect of this on teeth? Is it really a thing, meth mouth?
Oh, yeah, it will destroy your teeth.
So would it just break apart the cavity of the tooth and then like leave
It decays your teeth the same way it decays your body. It breaks it down. It breaks down the enamel to the point where there's nothing left. And the same thing can happen with soda because it's so acidic as you're drinking it. The soda will break. That's where that meth mouth. Even they say it's soda. Some people say it's soda and it's not really soda that causes your teeth to be that way. But it is possible for soda to break down your teeth in the same way.
Yes.
I have a question about the license. So you said it could be beneficial because it stops the protein growth for some people, but I guess ingested though it is poisonous.
You can, if you eat a castor bean, you can eat up to 5 of them, they say, before it because you can actually, your body can actually digest it. It's the point of overdose where it becomes poisonous. But when it's used medically, they would deactivate it and manipulate it so it only works on those cancer cells. So it wouldn't have any effect on your body other than where they designed it to go.
Now, I haven't seen the show, but just out of curiosity, because you were saying that the main character had the stage 4 cancer, did he use the license as benefit or not?
No, he used it as the poison.
He used his chemistry
Yeah, he's-
knowledge more towards evil than used it actually as like,
Yeah, no.
oh, maybe I can use rice to sequence it.
Yeah, that was not the I brought about that aspect just to, for the seminar, but in the show, no. And it's also, it's not common to use it as that. There are other compounds that are more efficient at that. It's possible to use it that way, they don't generally though.
Because it's methamphetamine. And so sometimes you find like D-amphetamine, which are used as neurostimulants to increase performance and stuff and to control ADHD. So the meth part of it in the equation, where's that? Because what makes it, because we know that the amphetamine part's used commonly.
This right here, the NH part on the molecule is your amphetamine part. The methyl group is right here, and the rotation that you're talking about, that's the D, usually in Adderall or other actually like good drugs.
Like methylphenidate, which is Concerta, that's also like an amphetamine base.
Every change to the name is like just a change
The
in,
end of the molecule
Or
Some
different
parts,
carbons also.
one
It
part
has to do with
is
the
changed.
rotation on the molecule.
of a different parts of the carbon.
You have
So if you-
dexatory and levatory. So this is actually in rotation right here. It's kind of hard to explain it because this is an organochemistry kind of concept. But yes, it describes the rotation on the molecule and where our amine can actually be located on the molecule.
so if this was an open wedge, this is no longer methamphetamine. It's another thing that does not work in the same way in your body. So that change in, all that means is it's an angle. That change in angle can completely change the way your body processes the molecule.
Yes.
So there was one more thing in like one of the episodes where Heisenberg decided he synthesized some kind of like crystal and it exploded.
That was fulminated mercury. So I figured this one would come up also. Yes. So
You're hitting
what?
them all.
This is what he's referring to. So there's this really bad guy. He wasn't the main character because he got killed off so fast. His name was Tuco Salamanca, who was related to Gus Fring somewhere along the line. But yeah, bad guys. And what happened is Tuco beat up Jesse very, very bad, put him in the hospital, and like robbed him or something. So what Walt did is he made this huge bag of fulminated mercury that is extremely explosive and unstable, and he carried it into Tuco's house, and he took a piece of it about this big, and he bashed it on the floor, and it blew up the entire floor of the building. And yeah, it would definitely do that.
Wow. So really, if you had a degree in chemistry, you could go work on a TV show.
I guess so. I mean, I'd probably start off with benchtop chem and see where it ends up there.
Yeah, could be.
You start off with safety video and then you see what
Hope your creation jigs off.
we'll see how it goes.
That's a good video.
So far, it hasn't worked for any of the one, but you never know. I keep hoping. That one on the screen right now is my daughter, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I will tell you though that, for instance, the Big Bang Theory, they employ physicists, etc. All the equations written on the boards, etc., in the background are true. They are mathematical. They are true mathematical equations they use in physics, etc. The show MacGyver used to have people that researched everything he did, albeit with pocket knife. But everything he did worked. Would work if you could get the pieces, et cetera, assembled together. So yeah, as a scientist, there are research and background jobs available to you in movie and television industry.
Like even The Martian with all of that NASA information, I mean, that was a big movie.
Has anyone seen that movie?
That was awesome. And
All right, I think I was the only one in the entire movie theater that lost it when he took the chemical hydrazine and he tried to make water and he blew himself up because in his calculations he didn't take into account the air that he was breathing out, the carbon dioxide. So I guess it's a kooky chem joke. So me and Professor kind of lost it there for a second.
And for obvious reasons, a lot of the chemistry in Breaking Bad is not correct, but that's for safety of the general public watching this, so they cannot repeat what's been done here.
Got it, guys? No more
No
questions?
questions?
But yeah,
Now,
completely changed
meth
everything.
does not actually turn blue. That's not real. It's not blue. You cannot make blue meth. It's not meth if it's blue.
But our rock candy turned blue when we put the blue food coloring in the mint. So I can guarantee that. Yeah, I was all ready to talk about battery and everything. You guys got me stumped on this one. But it's okay. You guys will get there. I think probably 1 or 2 more lectures and Professor Judge will be able to crank one of these puppies out into the cell.
You'll be looking at that for a long time.
Yes.
So would there be enough from the materials that they were using and what they had available and how they built that battery? Would it really be able to start a car the way that the show showed?
It would, but the thing that Amanda and I were talking about this morning is we were saying that the gauge wire that they were using on each cell, what they did is they sequenced all these cells. This is one cell. And they were able to get enough voltage to turn the car over, but they weren't able to get enough amperage with the wire they were using to turn over the engine or get the batteries to go over. So in this scenario that they were stuck with, it wouldn't work, but I guess if you brought some heavy gauge wire with you and you were dead battery status, you could definitely do it.
So they created the power, but they couldn't transfer it. That was the problem.
In the show, does his wife know that he's making meth?
That actually comes up later, because his lies snowball through the episodes. He actually convinced her to lie for him at one point, saying that he was a gambler and he figured a trick to the trade and got all this money. But yeah, eventually she's actually a CPA accountant, and she was able to, I guess, money launder the money easier that way. But yeah. I'm not going to spoiler alert, I'm not going to go over what happens in the end, but it gets pretty wild, guys. Yep. I think it is on Netflix, or was on Netflix for a little bit. I know it's an audio.
Yeah, it's not on demand on cable.
I bought it, so I have all the episodes.
I think it was on Netflix at one point.
Yeah, I know it was, yeah.
Anything else?
So we answered all of your questions on Breaking Bad. Anything you wanted to know? Chemical. Well, I guess we answered everyone's questions.
That's about it. It's good.
Yeah,
30 minutes.
we did well. 30 minutes, we promised you guys. Thank you for coming out, and I hope you guys come check us out on another one.
Everyone signed in. There's some rock candy left.